At Devonport High School for Boys, we introduced emotional logic almost 4 years ago. The reason for this was to help our students build strategies to gain emotional resilience in the hope that this provides some protection against developing mental health issues later on. The great thing about emotional logic is that it is a tool that totally makes sense. We teach our students to problem solve in a variety of ways through the academic curriculum areas, and this is no different. We've developed emotional logic and delivered it to our students as a structured series of lessons to each of our new cohorts of children. We've seen a significant reduction in more serious incidents of poor behaviour, which may have initiated from the feeling of loss, for example, not performing well on a test. In addition, and you may argue more importantly, we've had a reduction in the number of students that are raised through our internal termly assessment and audit of those with an emotional need. We plan at Devonport High School for Boys to continue to use emotional logic as a tool to support our students and their families. We welcome families to an internal training session every year to share the fundamental basics of emotional logic with them. The support that we've had from the Emotional Logic Centre through our journey has been outstanding, and our relationship with them and our commitment to emotional logic continues to go from strength to strength.
Logic was amazing through the pandemic. At the beginning, I work in a school, and so initially it did feel a little bit like an extended summer holiday. But then I realised I felt really uncertain, I felt anxious, the bad news kept coming in, and my brain went all foggy, and I couldn't get motivated to do all the things I normally love. And then my friend Abby, she introduced us to the Journey to Hope, and I found just by reading it, it made me feel calmer, and it helped me to sort of think about all the unpleasant feelings I had, and then I could use them positively to my advantage once I'd recognised them. So it was really, really helpful. And then when I went back into work, I found that when I was having pastoral conversations with parents, which is mainly what I did during the summer term, I could just use emotional logic to structure my conversations, even if I didn't use it exactly as we would use it in the teaching tool. But it was there the whole time at the back of my mind, so it was really helpful.
During lockdown, I was at home with my two teenagers, both of whom had had their exams cancelled. There was obvious joy at that thought, but my eldest, who had had her A-levels cancelled, quickly started to appear quite low in the first few weeks. So we used emotional logic to try and unpick what is it that she was feeling. And we identified losses, and there were obvious losses, that her planned interrailing trip in the summer had been cancelled, and a trip to Ireland to see a friend had been cancelled. But the loss that sort of stood out was the fact that she may have lost control over which university, her first choice university. Because of not sitting the exams herself, the control had been passed to somebody else. And a strange solution came about from identifying that loss, in that there were lots of online courses being advertised. And so she decided to enrol in a module with Oxford University. It was something she was sort of interested in, slightly associated with her degree. But she felt that if the results, when they came out, she'd slightly slipped on her place, she felt that she'd got some control in saying to the university, well, look, I've been carried on with my learning, as well as the other advantages that it might bring. and it was really, really successful.
Well, I work in a primary school. I'm a special educational needs coordinator. So my role is to support families during times of difficulty, as well as supporting children during times of difficulty. And obviously the pandemic threw up lots of issues for various families. One particular family had gone through quite a lot of losses personally. We had, loss of a grandparent, sudden death of a grandparent. We had a parent who was working away, and the family got in touch because one of the children was struggling with that quite a lot. Their behaviour had sort of declined, and they didn't really know what to do to support this child. But I felt that when I was on the phone to the parent, actually they needed some support as well. So I used what I know about emotional logic to talk through losses and the various reactions that the body goes through when a loss occurs, to try and get the parent to have that understanding about what they were going through as well as what the child was going through. So once we talked things through and made a smart plan for what the parent could do to start trying to make themselves feel better, we also talked about the child and made them a plan about how we could support him. And one of the ways we did that was I delivered the set of 7 emotional logic storybooks to the family, so that they could use them at home and work through some of the emotions that child was feeling in a accessible way for him at his level. So they were able to keep those books and work through them together, to try and establish a little bit more of an understanding about why they were both feeling so lost and how they could start making a plan to get back onto a happier level again. For me, knowing about emotional logic has kind of gone into my subconscious now, I think. So I've learnt the various tools that you need to work through emotional logic. And now I find myself recognizing my shock reactions without necessarily even thinking about it. So I can stop myself when I can feel that shock reaction happening. I'm aware of what my shock reactions are. And subconsciously then I find myself making a plan already. So during the pandemic, obviously there were lots of losses, loss of my usual routine. I had worries about my children, worries about my family, and I would find myself experiencing that shock reaction. And then before I knew it, I would find myself almost pausing and taking stock and making what I know now to be a smart plan in terms of trying to regain losses and trying to sort of set myself back on an even keel again.